The following is an Outdoor Channel original production.
Okay, you guys are gonna have to step it up because there's a big storm coming. Whoa. My name is Tim Dowd. I've been a professional guide and outfitter for over 30 years. I know what it takes to get it done in America's roughest mountain. I get my clients within spitting distance of stunning big bull elk and monster black bears. Each year, I invite students from around the world into mine. They all say they want to learn what I know. Outfitting is one of the most demanding jobs in the world. 20-hour workday is normal, and only the toughest have what it takes. They are mine for a month, my ranch, my rules. I will find out who's tough enough. You never know what's gonna happen, but I guarantee they'll never forget Outfitter Bootcamp. You can do everything right, and it can go wrong in a heartbeat. Whoa. I had a client that was fishing. Wasn't doing anything wrong, struck by lightning.
Right now, they're trying to put up a shower tent in the rain, is what we're doing.
Okay, somebody can stake down the bottom of the tent, and then you can put your pole in. Did some stakes get made?
Right here. Like, I'll just break it. You want it broke right here? Mm-hmm.
What are you doing, Chance? There's a storm right there. Over on this canyon, it's bright, and there's nothing going on.
It's slipping back here. We good now?
What do you need? The hatchet? Somebody have the hatchet?
No.
It was last used at the stake at the back.
Major winds and rain blew in.
Well, this shows you how things can change in a second up here in the mountains. Everything was nice and sunny and bright. All of a sudden, we're in the middle of a huge windstorm that's trying to knock the camp down.
The winds picked up pretty considerably.
Might want to make sure that that fire does not go out.
Oh, yeah.
That would not be a good idea. Either one.
The winds were pretty strong, but I think at the end of the day, everyone got camp secured.
Okay, we have to take care of the horses. We got to use the bells. The correct way to put this bell on. Put this around her neck. And you want it snug, but not super tight. When she puts her head down, see how she gets a little gap in there? If I put this loose, right here, Say, okay, that's the right. Okay, now let her put her head down. See how much of a gap she has in there? If she takes her hind foot and she scratches, she can catch a foot in there, they break their neck like that. It just takes a second. I've had one guide school kill a horse doing that. Now, you have bells for everyone but 2 animals. So you want to bell your leaders and your loners. Now, the reason we put the bells on is so we know where the horses are. If anybody hears bells coming through this camp at the middle of the night, you better be getting up. The horses are telling you we're headed for the truck. You can either stop us or we're going. So if you hear horses coming down this canyon, somebody better be up to stop them or they're trucking away.
Got it.
You ain't got your bear spray.
I don't have my bear spray.
I learned that a real client really doesn't have a clue. You got your license?
Nope.
Outfitter Bootcamp, presented by Pelican, is brought to you in part by Valero, keeping America moving. By Scentlock, carbon alloy is making you and Scentlock the deadliest combination. Go RVing. Find your way. Visit GoRVing.com. And by Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter.
Having a plan and making decisions in the wilderness is totally different than down here at the ranch. That's one thing that the students will have to figure out.
I thought it was really fun guiding Steve Gruber. The hunting scenarios is definitely one of the highlights of the school for me, just being able to be up in the mountains.
You ain't got your bear spray.
I don't have my bear spray.
That's terrible. I learned that a real client really doesn't have a clue. You got your license?
Nope.
I think having Steve as a client was valuable because he was kind of playing the role as the I don't know anything hunter.
My scenario in guiding Steve was we had 2 bulls. We had one up in the open sort of flat and a bull down below in the canyon. And it was trying to guide him to the best shot. He was after any legal bull. And so we were going after the one on top because I thought it was the closest one and the best open shot. Boom.
Boom.
Way to go.
Jana really surprised me. Last week, I thought she was gonna quit. This week, she came on strong up on the mountain.
There's the bull. I think. He's got some cows with him. Come on.
What do you want me? Can you see him?
Yeah. Wait, get ready. Wait. Don't shoot yet.
That bull.
Not yet. Just wait. Start coming up. You gotta release the arrow, Steve.
Oh, I do?
Yeah, shh. Be quiet. Not yet.
He's gotta stop the bull for
Not
you.
yet. Just wait for it. You ready? Mm-hmm. Yeah. A client, he has no idea. He doesn't know where to stand. He doesn't know how to stand. He doesn't know how to follow.
Drop.
Wait a minute.
If you don't specifically tell them to do something, they won't do it.
Get ready. Got it.
Bang.
Good job, Jans.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. You just shot a giant.
I was the herd bull up bedded on the side of the ridge with all my cows with a satellite below her. We didn't move the entire
I
time.
know y'all didn't.
But you chose good in working up because if you would have worked down with that wind, we were gonna blow out of there and you worked up.
Jant seems challenged physically. He has a great attitude, but I don't know if he has what it takes.
Having a real client, it was a little bit, actually it was a little bit nicer. Working with Steve, I only had one scenario with him and it was really short. So I did learn a few things, just, positioning of the client and stuff like that. Learned that I shouldn't allow the client to just go random with a call. All that stuff helps. It's just little things here and there that you pick up along the way that'll help you in the long run. We first made our first bugle down here. Heard the bull up in the timber up in this area. Went around, checked wind, found the wind was blowing directly into there. But then at the same time, I bugled again. We moved up a little bit, bugled again, saw the bull moving back down this way on the opposite side of the drain, coming back down this direction. Tried to get him over to us. When he got to about right here, we figured out where we were, which is right over here on the other side of these trees, and blew in behind us. My client had to turn around, take the shot quickly when he came blazing through, and I just got as low as I possibly could and shot pretty much over my back. Here we go.
Through the training the last 4 weeks, I was hoping that they would work as a team instead of individuals, make a plan, go with the plan, and execute the plan.
Tyson is a graduate of Tim's Guide School. He has a very good work ethic. He's willing to work very hard. Once the students start packing into the wilderness, Tyson becomes more involved in the school in terms of helping students pack their horses and mules, helping the students be sure that they're safe going up the trail.
My role when we go out into the wilderness will be just making everybody's safe, all the animals are safe, and we get up there, it's all one smooth ride.
The emergency room is a long ways down the mountain. The students have to be prepared for anything.
Tyson!
Something must have happened if he's not coming back.
Tyson!
There's one there. Is that his?
We knew the direction that Tyson headed, so after our numerous whistles and calls and him not responding, I got a little concerned, but we found his tracks pretty easily and they were going right down the trail.
Where is he?
But when we found him, he was, on a hillside, said that his leg was really hurting.
Up here.
How are you feeling? Probably maybe even going maybe a little into shock, super thirsty.
The students handled Tyson's emergency situation the way that I'd hoped they had.
Ready? Ready? Come on. All right.
I'd say we carried Tyson back to camp about a mile, give or take a little bit. Uphill, so.
Getting a good hamstring
Okay, you
stretching.
gotta watch your step.
Lower, Mike. Okay.
Go to your right. Where did you go that way?
The guys had to carry him all the way back to camp. The two tall guys helped him up top around the shoulders, and the two other guys helped him with his legs. And Chance and I carried all the gear, bugles and backpacks. And so as a team, I thought the guys worked great together.
Mike and Jason jumped in first to help Tyson. Mike kind of went more from being in the middle of a pack to a leader where he kind of took control, but it was more of a controlled leadership instead of, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do that.
How's that pressure feel? Good?
Yeah. 3. All right, here we go.
Through the training the last 4 weeks, I was hoping that they would work as a team instead of individuals, make a plan, go with the plan, and execute the plan to get Tyson back into camp. So, Tyson, how did they do?
They did all right.
Okay, let's eat lunch.
Outfitter Bootcamp, presented by Pelican, is brought to you in part by Valero, keeping America moving. By Sedlock, carbon alloy is making you and Sedlock the deadliest combination. Go RVing. Find your way. Visit GoRVing.com. And by Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter.
Now we're ready to take care of the horses for the evening. So the students have to bell the animals. They have to, number one, decide who's going to get a bell and who's not going to get a bell. Then they'll have to lead part of the animals. Since there's more animals than students, they can't lead every one. They'll have to decide which ones they turn loose. The others they'll lead, and the ones they turn loose, hopefully if they pick the right ones, will follow them up above camp. And then they will be picketed or hobbled and out for the night so they can feed.
It's gotta go up around his head. Oh, I know, but it won't get around. Here, put this one on Kate.
What's up, baby?
Not copper and roof is out, right?
Yeah. Hey.
Jingle bells.
Rollin', 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 rawhide.
Shane, want me to hang on to Kramer?
That's all right.
Blackie. The mother load. But wait till they see the pasture, they'll be happy. Okay, Mike, start us off. Give us a hunting story.
Let's see. I guess one of the most memorable hunting stories I have was probably last fall. My two brothers and I, we all grew up hunting together, and over the last couple of years, my daughter's kind of, become interested in hunting mainly because she loves game meat. She went through hunter's education and got her hunter's education card, and was fortunate enough last year to draw a really good youth tag in a great unit up in the National Forest. So we went up there and scouted it out a couple times and had a pretty good idea where some nice bulls were, and she was rifle hunting. And so we had some close encounters and saw some pretty decent bulls that morning, but they were all a little out of her range, so we backed out of there. And that afternoon we were hiking back into the same area, and about halfway in, we heard a bull just start sounding off on his own. And we just got her set up on steady sticks, and a nice 6x5 stepped out and gave her the yardage on it. It was right at 264 yards, and she touched off her first shot, and that bull just stood there. And I was fairly confident that she had hit him because, I didn't see any rocks kick up, and he was kind of on a rocky, canyon side. And so I told her, go ahead and, put another round through him, and her second round basically just dropped him where he stood, and we got up there, and she had, double long shot him with both of her shots, and they were about 1.5 inches apart. And it was a pretty memorable hunt for her. I tend to think it probably spoiled her a little getting a bull of that quality on the first evening of her first elk hunt ever, but it was a real neat deal, and it was a good time.
Okay, Nick.
I guess my first deer I took was probably the most memorable. I learned to hunt when I was in college. I was working for a wilderness advocacy group at the time, and this guy who was a lifelong hunter, he was working for the Forest Service his whole life, and he had a really special place, but it was also special he kind of shared his spot where to go. So I just loaded the backpack up for like a week, got into pretty heavy mule deer territory and pretty much everywhere. The hard thing was just I didn't know what I was doing. I found 2 bucks that were fighting down in the little creek, and I picked one and got within range and fired off. And I fired, and then I couldn't find it. The other one kind of ran right towards me, I was like, oh, what's going on? So I worked pretty hard that night. It was a pretty big mule deer. Well, not huge, but for me, by myself, it was just like a 3-point. So I packed out the 7 miles, and I was able to just do it in one load with just like holding the hindquarters like you're holding buckets, you know? Like to go back there at some point and kind of relive that place just because it meant a lot to me, and it is a really beautiful place up in the Ruby Mountains, so.
I knew there'd be some surprises, but here's how I have it this week. Jana was a little chatty during war games. Jance is a lot of fun, but you have to know what you're doing in the mountains, and you have to know when to take things seriously. You can't always make everything a joke. Nick did a lot of heavy lifting today by carrying Tyson back to camp. Nobody had the SAM splint or anything Tim told him to bring in their packs. But Jason, by far, had the best supplies of the group.
So
You broke
cool.
the #1 rule.
What's that?
You shared a secret spot somebody told you was.
Never give the high hole.
I said the Ruby Mountains, right?
Yeah.
Well,
It's really cool that you didn't hunt as a kid and you're picking it up now and, you know, just discovering it. And I think that's awesome. Man, that sounds like a tough hunt you were on for your first one.
No doubt.
Holy cow.
Okay, let's go to bed.
Team go.
Missed it too.